Bee populations in the U.S. have been declining since 2005. Finding out why and ways to save bees and their colonies is important for successful agriculture, farming, and healthy ecosystems. Here with the latest findings on bees and how to improve survival are UC San Diego biological sciences researcher James Nye, co-author of a new honeybee study, and Mark Kukuchek, president of San Diego's Beekeeping Society and a backyard beekeeper. And James, how much of a decline are we seeing in bees here in the U.S.?
So every winter, typically about 30% of managed bee colonies die.
That's unusual, that's changed?
It is. Previously and currently in other countries as well, 10%, 15% might be acceptable, but this is really much too high.
Now, your research found a microsporidian fungus infects larvae, and until now, we knew about the fungus for adult bees. So how does this fungus infect larvae, and why is that so destructive?
So it infects the same way. They're basically fed this spore by accident. It infects their gut and reproduces inside their stomach. But what we found is that previously beekeepers would treat using antibiotics and would get rid of it, but then it would come back. So we thought maybe there's a hidden reservoir of infection inside the colony. And we think we found the answer, that the larvae, the young bees that are not being treated by the antibiotics, are re-emerging as adults, and the colony is getting reinfected.
I see. Now, Mark, you've been a beekeeper for more than 20 years, I understand. Have you experienced colony collapse?
Yes, I have. Right now I lose about half my hives every year, like a third to a half, so I have to keep twice as many hives for that. But I have one hive that had pretty much typical colony collapse, where with just the queen was left and just a handful of bees, where normally it should have been 20 or 30,000 bees.
And that's what I wanted to ask you. How do you know it's collapsed? What does that look like?
Oh, like I say, you have a nice healthy population, you've got 30,000 bees, and you open it up and there's 200 bees. That's what it looks like. And there's plenty of food, the queen's there's eggs, but there's just no bees, they're gone.
And James, how does this, getting back to this fungus and the connection to larvae, fit into the bigger picture of the decline of honeybee health?
So about 70% of managed bee colonies in the United States are infected with this fungus, with nosema. So it's a known problem. Beekeepers treat for it every year. It doesn't kill them outright, because otherwise we'd have more than 30% dying off, but it interacts with other things like pesticides and parasites, and it makes them weaker, so they're more susceptible when other things hit them. And so now that we know that the larvae can also be infected, we need to see how much of an impact this is, and probably develop a new treatment that targets not only the adult bees, but also the young bees.
Well, that was my next question. Is there a way to get rid of the fungus in the larvae and also in the adult bees?
So the adult bees are fed sugar solution with the antibiotic. It's possible that this could be sprayed directly inside the nest at the larvae to basically cure them of the disease, and that's something that needs to be looked at. And there may be other treatments as well that we can pursue.
And Mark, what would you like to see happen here in the U.S. to try to improve bee health in general?
There's a lot of things that we can do, and one of the things we're trying to do is encourage people to keep bees, keep more bees. And so we have bees, and then we would like to see, like I say, not use some pesticides, and then maybe have a better treatment, a more natural treatment for some of the diseases bees have.
And how about you, James? What would you like to see?
I think that this is a problem that has to be approached holistically. I think that President Obama's new initiative of having more wild space with flowers for bees and other native pollinators will be very helpful. He's also planning to increase research funding for basic research, and I think that would be great.
And there's a few other areas that are of concern as well, one of them being pesticides, things like that. What about the drought? Do you see the drought having an impact on bee populations?
That's interesting. The feral bee populations in San Diego are very healthy. Managed bee populations, I think the drought is more of an issue. And also for native bees, however, it definitely is a problem. We have low numbers of native bees this year.
And Mark, how do you tackle it?
Same thing. I keep my bees in a backyard in a suburban neighborhood. We do a lot more irrigation. I make more honey than some of the commercial guys do even, because they're out in the open fields and they don't have as much natural rain, so they have the flowers and what the bees need to make honey.
And have you had to compensate because of our 4-year drought?
Yes. What we have to do is we have to feed our bees in the winter. We feed them sugar water, which there's no pollen or nectar, so that they can harvest.
All right. Mark Kukuchek and Dr. James Nye, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.